So, guys, long story short, Joe Biden, he was a lot of talk when it came to immigration and the migrant crisis. And by that I don't mean, all these people trying to get into the country. I mean, we have thousands of people in need of asylum and refugees who our system of immigration and our refugee asylum system has been brutalizing and ignoring. That's the crisis. People from South America need our help. A lot of the issues that the violence that they're fleeing can be tied directly to U.S. foreign policy. So we owe them reparations, but the least we can do is help them. But here is Dick Durbin asking why Biden hasn't raised the cap on refugees in the United States after the big evil Trump administration, right? Which Biden said, we're going to return to decency, everybody. Let's hear what Durbin has to say.
About this, but can I ask whether you're concerned that the president has yet to sign the paperwork to lift the refugee cap?
I believe the Biden administration is committed to increasing the number of refugees. I don't understand the timing of the announcement, but I feel confident that ultimately the number of refugees accepted in America will be closer to historic norms on both political parties, closer than it's been over the last 4 years.
So do you want to hear from them why he hasn't signed it?
I'm asking. I hope to get a reply very quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Evil Yoda, he kept the Trump limit. So President Biden on Friday all but abandoned a pledge to enable tens of thousands of refugees fleeing danger abroad to come to the United States this year. Then abruptly backtracked after drawing a furious response from human rights advocates and fellow Democrats. Well, it seems a little wishy-washy, doesn't it? In a directive issued early Friday, the administration announced that it would leave the cap on refugees at 15,000, the record low ceiling set by President Donald Trump. But after hours of blistering criticism from allies, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki reversed the announcement, issuing an unusual statement saying that the order had been the subject of some confusion. Oh, we're confused, Jen? I'm sorry, we got so confused about this. Psaki said that Biden would actually set the final cap, which sets the refugee allotment through the end of September, by May 15th, and that while the White House expects it will be higher than Trump's ceiling, it is unlikely to rise by the 62,500 that Biden had put forward with some fanfare in February. So he's going back on this, guys. Psaki and Biden could not keep that promise because the Trump administration had, quote, decimated the refugee program. But advocates dismissed that explanation as unpersuasive, saying the Biden team was more likely seeking to abandon the pledge amid concerns about the political criticism surrounding the current surge of migrants at the southern border. Quote, it's deeply disappointing that the administration elected to leave in place the shameful record low of its predecessor, said Krishomar Vignarajah, President and Chief Executive of Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service, a resettlement agency working with the government. Biden's new decree, known formally as an emergency presidential determination, did move away from Trump-era policies by changing the regional allocation of refugees. Under Trump's directive, strict restrictions were placed on accepting refugees from certain African and majority Muslim countries. Oh, imagine that. But so there was a flurry of opinion pieces about this. And someone was just recently asking me why I kind of hold the Washington Post at a little higher esteem, actually for me, much higher esteem than the New York Times. These are all establishment, American establishment outlets, national newspapers. The New York Times has a ton of problems. Of course, if you listen to a right-winger, they'll say it's the most liberal biased newspaper. And they just blood in their mouths over it. But the New York Times, that shit gets in their head, and they're actually quite biased. I mean, they so is the Washington Post in its way. But the editorial board of the Washington Post, the Washington Post has incredible reporting on many subjects, but their editorial board, there was multiple stories about this, just editorially. Opinion. Biden promised to rebuild refugee admissions. He's on course to decimate them. And then also this one, though, opinion. The most anti-refugee president in modern history might not be Donald Trump. So this was on the 12th. This came out. The most anti-refugee president in modern history may not be Donald Trump. Right now, it's looking like Joe Biden, at least according to the numbers. Halfway through fiscal year 2021, the United States has admitted only 2,050 refugees. State Department data shows at the current pace, about 4,100 people would be resettled here this year. That would be the lowest number since the modern refugee resettlement program began in 1980. The previous record low came last year under Trump alone at 11,814. Amazingly, monthly admissions have slowed since Biden took office. To put those numbers in context, over the previous 4 decades, refugee admissions averaged about 78,000 annually, or roughly 19 times the total we're on track for this year. This is not presumably what most Americans thought they were getting when they elected Joe Biden. So yeah, absolutely. This is a reported out story. Biden's delay on refugees baffles and frustrates allies. So clearly, guys, if there's a paper that the Biden administration definitely pays attention to, this is one of them. And, having this number of opinion pieces and reporting focusing on the refugee admissions, they totally had their tail between their legs on this. Jen Psaki comes out and goes, there's been some confusion. There's no confusion. Y'all fucked this up. The idea that, so this is what we got when we elected Joe Biden, right? He said, I'm not Trump. Listen to me, I'm not Trump. But clearly, the Democrats and centrist Democrats like Joe Biden and his handlers clearly feel that they have to answer to Trump and Trump's America. We saw this happen when Trump was elected. There are all of a sudden all these Democratic strategist goons came out of the woodwork and were showing up on cable news and go like, okay, just how are the Democrats going to effectively project that they hate Mexicans without really openly doing it? As if Donald Trump, who very unpopular president, has had very low popularity ratings, didn't win the popular vote, as if he was now a mandate, because of his wall and all these other things, neglecting all the other reasons people might have voted for Trump, right? Just how goofy and a spectacle he was. Maybe they were fans of his from TV. It all became about the wall, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, that motivates a lot of people. This is the racism and the white supremacy we were talking about. Tucker Carlson is going full replacement theory on his show the other day. But Joe Biden and a lot of, insider Democrats, they are not trying to pull in progressives into the party and give them things to vote for. They are trying to hash out their elections over this narrow cross-section of suburbia that they perceive as white Americans scared of the brown people. They don't want all these refugees coming in. They don't want immigrants. And it's a huge mistake because America is, this is not the country it was in 1980. It's not the country it was in 2000, right? Donald Trump awoke many people who never would have voted, and maybe a lot to vote for him, but many more to vote against him. And the mask is off with the Republican Party and their white supremacy for a lot of people who, maybe didn't know how to read between them lines. You need a goofy, blustery guy like Donald Trump to come out who's so tactless at it to make it clear what was going on. But Joe Biden, he obviously feels the need to message to these people. And that's what it was. That it's been reported now that they were afraid of the optics of letting in too many refugees. In this story, he's made it clear. President Biden sent in a stark message in February to foreigners fleeing oppression, persecution, and danger. The United States stands ready to help them once again. He pledged an 8-fold plus increase in the annual cap on refugees set during the Trump administration, saying it would aim for, quote, a down payment on that promise, quote, as soon as possible. More than 2 months later, Biden has not made good on his vow. He has yet to sign a directive that would lift the cap for the next fiscal year and enact more immediate changes than the Trump limits. His advisors have provided little public clarity on why, angering many human rights advocates who say the delay is inflicting growing harm on refugees to take flight to the United States. The site canceled flights for refugees ready to travel, including a pregnant mother who missed the window to fly, a family who sold its belongings in preparation to come, only to be left in limbo, and refugees from African and majority Muslim countries still constrained by President Donald Trump's restrictive policies. So that is, I mean, this was what did Joe Biden say? We're going to return dignity and the soul of America. I mean, these were things he could have done day one. These were things that shouldn't have been hard, right? They shouldn't have been difficult. And this is, this is Joe Biden is an elderly man. It's, there's an old saying, it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks. I don't necessarily believe that. But generally speaking, people will revert to type. They will revert to their habits and what they're comfortable with, right? And so Joe Biden was the guy, knocking shoulders with Strom Thurmond, go, yeah, Strom Thurmond's my friend, right? He's the guy who made the racial jungle comments. Are you guys familiar with that? This is our president, Joseph Robinette Biden. He said this from Congress. Let me see. I can't just find the clip right away. I want to bring it up for you guys really quick. Got some comments here. Bo, I feel bad for Psaki. She's just the mouthpiece for Biden, who we all know is the problem, and I voted for him. But we need better choices, which is a whole other bag of beans. Psaki, dude, was like a State Department. She's from the State Department. Like, she's been doing this a long time. So this isn't. You shouldn't feel too bad for her. She knows what she's doing.
Because they literally are supervision without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. That's the sad truth.
God, there's a lot of them going on here, isn't there? And, this is part of the paternalism, right? Where it's like, these are the people, we take care of them, and what will we do with them?
I'm the guy that said, rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, there's the federal system, you serve 85% of your time.
This is during the crime bill in 93.
It's a shame, but we don't know how to rehabilitate. But there is a consensus, and I will cease. A, we must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malfactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they've become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, try to help them, try to change the behavior. That's why we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments to try to deal with it. But they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families. But we would be absolutely stupid as a society if we didn't recognize the condition that nurtured those folks still exist. And we must deal with that. Supervision.
Yeah, so this is racial jungle. He's facing increased scrutiny for his record. I mean, this is from a while ago. I wish I could just find the video really quick for y'all, but let's read some comments. Evil Yoda, he's like, oh, look, Republicans are saying I love open borders. Change World, headline, Biden campaign doesn't consider Latinos part of their path to victory, political operatives say. Yep, exactly. Change World, Biden became the presumptive Democratic nominee in spite of, not because of his Latino outreach political acts, political rights. Yeah, absolutely. Jan World, when Psaki worked for the State Department, she said with a straight face that, quote, the U.S. doesn't do coups in South America. Yeah, she said that. Unbelievable. She's not, don't feel bad for her. We shouldn't target her with harassment or anger or anything just because, because she's a woman, because she's, we should be upset with her because she's a liar on behalf of the American empire. How about that? Bo, I didn't know that. Yeah, now you know. Mandy Sadowski, lock up those people. We screwed them over and over and over, so we just need to lock them up forever. Yeah, that's the mentality. Let's see. The headline, State Department announces new long-standing policy against backing coups from democracy now. Yeah, man, that's what's going on here. Oh, you guys. So, I mean, the Biden administration is proving itself to be what we all thought it would be, basically. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. And you hate to see it. You hate to see it, guys.